They compelled her to perform at the piano as a cruel prank. A young woman in a creased linen outfit, worn flat shoes, and disheveled hair positioned herself before the grand Steinway as if a custodian had been thrust onto an opera stage. The space fell silent. 3 heartbeats of quiet, followed by an explosion of gentle mockery, murmurs, and patronizing glances. Really? Is she actually going to perform? Here's our entertainment for tonight. Well, at minimum, we have someone to fault if this evening fails. Nobody selected her out of faith in her abilities. They chose her believing she would provide the ideal disaster for an evening lacking direction. Should she stumble, all the better. What they were unaware of was her former status as a piano prodigy. The Aura School of Arts auditorium sparkled beneath crystal light fixtures, its deep red drapes surrounding a platform where a gleaming Steinway grand piano stood majestically. The atmosphere was heavy with lily fragrance and costly perfume, while the spectators, dressed in designer gowns and custom tuxedos, their arms adorned with diamonds and gold, hummed with the assurance of the elite. This was Aura's yearly fundraiser, a Chicago evening where creativity and influence merged, attracting music executives, wealthy benefactors, and journalists seeking stories. The invitation list was an exclusive fortress, filled with tech moguls, famous artists, and social media personalities whose posts could create or destroy careers. Beyond the venue, security guards in dark suits held back photographers. Aura was already trending worldwide before the first glass was raised. This wasn't merely an occasion, it was a competition for social standing. Lena Hart entered through a service entrance, her worn linen dress in muted gray, wrinkled from her day's labor, catching slightly on the doorframe. At 36, she possessed a striking simplicity. Kind hazel eyes, dark hair pulled into a relaxed bun with loose strands, and a peaceful elegance that seemed to soothe the surrounding turmoil. Her scuffed shoes made soft sounds on the marble flooring, and her shoulder bag contained cleaning materials, a journal, and a faded photograph of her mother. Previously, she had been a child prodigy, her fingers mastering concert venues at 15, gaining admission to the Vidian Academy with full funding. However, her mother's accident, a drunk driver who left her paralyzed, transformed everything. Lena abandoned her aspirations to provide care, accepting this custodial position at Aura to pay medical expenses. Her fortune, a multi-million-dollar inheritance from her deceased father's technology patents, remained unused in accounts she never mentioned. She didn't require Aura's approval. She needed to endure. Behind the scenes, fear was tangible. The gala's featured performer, celebrated pianist Marcus Reed, had been rushed to the hospital following a vehicle collision, leaving the centerpiece, Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2, a composition so challenging it could defeat even masters, in shambles. Director Evelyn Pierce, a stern woman in black velvet attire, her blonde hair styled in a chignon, shouted commands at her aide, Lucas, a nervous man gripping a tablet. "Cancellation isn't an option," she snapped, her voice cutting through the noise. "The benefactors are present. The media is here. Locate someone." The team scrambled frantically, their voices creating urgent background noise. "Nobody can perform Liszt without preparation," Lucas whispered, his tie crooked. "We're doomed." Lena, quietly cleaning a handrail, overheard the commotion. Her fingers stopped, the cloth motionless in her grasp as Liszt's melodies resonated in her thoughts. She had conquered the Rhapsody at 17, its violent passages and like-it ornaments forming a language she still understood. A young pupil, Sophie Clark, a violinist with compassionate eyes and a modest Navy outfit, observed Lena's stillness. Sophie, among the rare individuals at Aura who showed Lena kindness, stepped forward. "Miss Lena," she declared, her voice cutting through the chaos. "She has the ability to play." The room burst into laughter. Evelyn whirled around, her gaze sharpening as it found Lena. "Her?" she mocked, speaking loudly enough for the staff to hear. "The cleaning lady. Please." Lucas grinned, tapping his device. "Allow her to perform. It will be amusing." Professor Diane Monroe, her silk wrap fluttering, added her voice. "At minimum, we'll have someone to blame when this collapses." The staff's ridicule intensified, sharp and merciless as they gestured toward the platform. "Proceed, custodian," Diane said, her tone saturated with scorn. "Display your abilities." Lena's hold on her cloth grew tighter, the sole indication of strain in her calm demeanor. She met Evelyn's stare, her hazel eyes unwavering. "I am capable of playing," she stated quietly, her voice clear despite the contempt. Evelyn's mouth twisted into a sneer. "Perform or you're banned from Aura permanently," she declared, her words a challenge. "Demonstrate you're more than a cleaning rag, or don't return." The staff separated, their smirks a silent challenge as Lena placed down her cloth and moved toward the stage. The auditorium's illumination blazed intensely, revealing her wrinkled outfit, her unkempt hair, her lack of refinement. The audience, seated and drinking champagne, whispered as she emerged, their murmurs becoming a growing wave of contempt. "Is that the help?" Donor Edward Vance, his cufflinks sparkling, grumbled. "This is a fundraiser, not a charity event," his wife in emerald attire hissed. Reporter Tara Clean, phone ready, captured a photo, captioning it. "Aura grows desperate. Janitor takes the stage." The crowd's amusement increased, gentle yet malicious. A student in the upper level, Ethan Ford, called out, "She's going to fail spectacularly." Phones flashed, framing Lena as entertainment before she could take her seat. She remained composed, her shoulders straight as if their stares were simply another mess to address. Evelyn took the platform, her velvet dress catching light as she seized the microphone. "Distinguished guests," she announced, her voice echoing. "Due to circumstances, we've made an audacious decision." She indicated Lena, her smile poisonous. "Meet Lena Hart, our custodian, who insists she can perform Liszt. Let's provide her an opportunity, shall we?" The audience erupted in laughter, some applauding mockingly. "This is pure entertainment." Tara's live broadcast reached 5,000 watchers, comments pouring in. "What a mockery. Aura is finished." Lena's dress appeared to contract under the spotlight, her worn shoes scraping the platform. She remained unflinching. She approached the Steinway with measured steps and took her position. The audience pressed forward, their whispers cutting like blades. "She's trembling," gallery owner Victor Crane muttered, his watch gleaming. "I wager she can't play a single note," his wife in pearl jewelry giggled. Ethan, filming with his phone, shouted, "Play chopsticks, darling!" The laughter intensified, a symphony of scorn. Lena's hands hovered above the keys, her hazel eyes closing momentarily as if awakening a dormant flame. The crowd's jeers grew more intense, someone yelling, "Leave the stage!" Tara's live stream reached 10,000 viewers, her voice delighted. "This is Lena, a nobody believing she can rescue Aura's gala," she taunted, focusing on Lena's creased dress. "Complete failure energy. I bet she's terminated by midnight." Comments exploded. "Embarrassing!" "This is humiliating." Lena had survived worse treatment. Months earlier, Elias Ford, a senior student whose father produced music, had photographed her scrubbing stairs, posting it with the caption, "Aura royalty, guess who's excluded?" The post became viral, students laughing as they labeled her Mop Rat. One afternoon, Megan Walsh, her designer watch gleaming, had smirked, "I bet she plays the mop," as she deliberately kicked Lena's cleaning bucket, soaking her footwear. Another instance involved Lena dusting a Steinway when Savannah Blake, a voice instructor, stormed in, snapping, "That instrument is worth more than your existence. Don't touch it." Lena apologized, stepping back, but Savannah's words stung like a blow. Just the previous week, Elias had spilled water down the steps as Lena carried boxes, smirking, "Oops, needed extra shine." Her dress clung to her legs, her shoes squelching, but she continued walking silently, her bag clutched tightly. Lena carried a tray of cleaning materials through Aura's busy cafeteria, her linen dress drawing snickers from students at polished tables. Elias Ford stood on a chair, holding a mop like a microphone, his voice booming. "Ladies and gentlemen, the mop rat is here to serenade us." The room exploded with laughter, utensils clattering as students turned to observe. Megan Walsh, her red lipstick sharp, tossed a napkin at Lena's feet, smirking. "Clean that up, maestro." Lena's hazel eyes flickered with restrained pain, but she knelt to retrieve it, her hands steady. A group of first-year students joined the chanting, "Mop rat! Mop rat!" as Elias recorded, his phone capturing every humiliating moment. Professor Dr. Helen Grant watched from a corner. Her coffee cup paused mid-sip, but remained silent, her inaction as cutting as the jeers. Lena stood, her posture unbroken, and departed, the chanting echoing behind her. The video reached Aura's studentes, into chat groups within minutes, accumulating thousands of views. Each laugh was a dagger to her quiet determination. Lena approached her locker in Aura's staff area, her shoulder bag heavy with cleaning supplies. The door was vandalized with black marker. "Mop Rat's Throne," scrawled in jagged letters, alongside a crude drawing of a dripping mop. Inside, her spare dress was soaked, reeking of bleach. Her journal was torn to pieces. A note taped to the mirror read, "Stay in your lane, janitor." Laughter echoed from the corridor, Elias and Megan's unmistakable voices high-fiving as they walked away. Lena's fingers trembled as she touched the ruined pages. Her mother's photograph, miraculously intact, stared back from the mess. A colleague, Jane, glanced over but quickly looked away, unwilling to get involved. Lena's jaw tightened, her hazel eyes burning with unspoken defiance as she salvaged what she could. She didn't report the incident. Aura's staff would dismiss it as pranks, not vandalism. Instead, she changed into her damp dress and returned to work, the bleach scent clinging to her, each step a silent promise to endure. Once in a quiet practice room, Lena had observed a donor's daughter, a timid girl named Lily, struggling with Beethoven. "Keep your wrists relaxed," Lena had said softly, demonstrating with her hands. The girl's playing improved immediately, her smile radiant. But Professor Monroe had burst in, furious. "What are you doing with my student? Who do you think you are?" Lena's heart raced as she stepped back. "I was just—" "Silence," Monroe interrupted. "Stay out of practice rooms or you're finished." Lena didn't argue, but the memory burned, forming a quiet promise. One day, they would hear her. During a rehearsal intermission, Lena was sweeping the auditorium's aisles when Megan and a group of students cornered her. "Hey, Mop Rat, let's see your skills." "Amped," Egan taunted, shoving a toy keyboard from a props closet into Lena's arms. The group laughed as Elias set up a phone tripod, streaming to his followers. "Play something, janitor," he jeered, tossing a coin at her feet. "Earn your tip." The tiny keys clinked discordantly as Lena's fingers brushed them, her face calm, but her eyes sharp with suppressed pain. Savannah Blake, passing by, joined in, her voice icy. "Don't waste our time, she's no artist." Students chanted, "Play, play," as the live stream's comments piled up. "What a loser! Kick her out!" Lena set the toy down gently, refusing to engage, but the crowd's laughter followed her as she resumed sweeping. Their cruelty was a weight she carried silently. The video spread across Aura's social channels, branding her a laughingstock. Now on this stage, those moments fueled her. Lena's fingers touched the keys. Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2 exploded from the Steinway, not as music, but as vengeance. The opening chords crashed through the auditorium, fierce and unyielding. Each note was a blade carving through the laughter. Lena's hands moved with impossible precision, weaving through the pieces' ferocious runs, her fingers dancing across the keys like a storm breaking free. The melody surged, now delicate, now savage, a torrent of pain and brilliance that silenced the crowd in seconds. Her wrinkled dress faded, her scuffed flats became irrelevant. There was only the music, her music, roaring through the hall like a woman turned into a punchline finally speaking. The audience froze, mouths open, phones lowering. Evelyn's velvet gown seemed to dim, her microphone forgotten in her hand. Tara's live stream hit 20,000 viewers, but her commentary stopped, her phone shaking as she stared. Victor Crane's watch stopped flashing. His wife's pearls seemed dull. Ethan's laughter died, his phone frozen mid-record. Reporters in the back, pens poised for snark, let them fall, their notebooks blank. Sophie in the wings clutched her violin, tears in her eyes, whispering, "I knew it." The Musit, built, Lena's fingers a blur. The Rhapsody's climax, a wildfire that burned away every whisper, every sneer. Lena played as if the keys were her voice, each note a piece of her story, her mother's accident, her lost dreams, the years of mopping floors while Aura's elites spat on her. The auditorium was hers now, the crowd no longer mocking but awestruck, their breath held as she owned the stage. The final chords rang out, a triumphant roar, and Lena's hands stilled. Silence gripped the room, heavy and absolute, before the audience erupted into applause, a tidal wave of respect. Standing ovations swept the hall, donors rising, reporters scrambling to rewrite their stories. Tara's live stream hit 50,000 viewers, comments screaming, "She's a genius!" "Aura's saved!" Lena stood, her hazel eyes calm, her dress still wrinkled, and bowed slightly, her grace unshaken. Backstage, Evelyn's face was ashen, her gown no shield. How did you?" she stammered, but Lena didn't answer. She walked past, her flats silent, as Lucas clutched his tablet, muttering, "She's the real deal." The crowd's cheers followed her, a sound she didn't need but had earned. Sophie ran to her, hugging her tightly. "You were amazing, Miss Lena," she said, her voice breaking. Lena smiled, soft but fierce. "Thank you, Sophie, for believing." But the night wasn't over. As the applause still echoed, the auditorium doors swung open with a thud. A man strode in, his presence like a thunderclap. Tall, broad-shouldered, with piercing blue eyes and salt-and-pepper hair. His charcoal suit was tailored to perfection, but it was his aura, calm, unyielding, that silenced the whispers. This was Daniel Vaughn, the billionaire founder of Vaughn Tech, a $12 billion empire built on AI and green energy. He was a shadow in the public eye, his name whispered in boardrooms, his face rarely seen. The crowd gasped, reporters leaning forward. "That's Daniel Vaughn," a donor whispered. "He never shows up." Daniel walked straight to Lena, who stood near the stage, her crossbody bag in her arms. His eyes softened as he reached her, his hand brushing her shoulder. "You okay, Lena?" he asked, his voice low, meant only for her. She nodded, her smile warm. "Always, Dan." He turned to the crowd, his hand on her back, and raised his voice, each word a blade. "This is Lena Hart," he said, his tone ironclad. "My wife and the heart of everything I've built." A collective gasp ripped through the auditorium. Evelyn's jaw dropped, her gown suddenly garish. Diane clutched her scarf, her face pale. The crowd's shock was palpable, phones flashing as Tara's live stream hit 100,000 viewers, comments screaming, "She's his wife!" "They're done!" Lena stood beside Daniel, her silence louder than any speech. She didn't need to defend herself. Her grace did that. Daniel's gaze swept the room, pinning Evelyn, Diane, Elias, Megan. "You mocked my wife," he said, his voice hardening. "You called her a mop rat, humiliated her for sport. But Lena's worth more than all of you combined." He nodded to a woman in a sleek gray suit. Clara, his chief of staff, her tablet glowing with data. "Clara, pull Vontek's funding from Aura. Every grant, every donation, gone. Effective now." Clara's fingers flew, her face a mask of focus as the crowd gasped. Evelyn stammered, "Mr. Vaughn, please, we didn't know." Daniel cut her off, his eyes like steel. "You didn't need to know. You should have treated her like a person." The screen above the stage flickered, showing Vontek's $60 million in annual grants to Aura vanishing in real time. Donors clutched their champagne flutes, their wealth tied to Aura's survival. Elias's face paled, his music dreams crumbling. Megan's phone slipped, her live stream cutting off. Diane sank into a chair, her career in ruins. The reporters went wild, headlines forming. "Billionaire pulls Aura, funding over janitor's triumph." Lena watched, her crossbody bag still in her arms, her silence a testament to her strength. But the crowd's cruelty hadn't gone unnoticed. Days before, Elias had cornered Lena in a hallway, his phone out, filming as he taunted, "Smile for the mop rat montage." The video, posted to his 50,000 followers, had racked up likes as students commented, "She's nothing. Ban her." Now that clip resurfaced, shared by an anonymous account, and the internet turned on him. His music label dropped him, his father's name no shield. Megan's mop comment, caught on a student's phone, went viral. Her influencer deals canceled as Mopgate trended. Savannah's rant about the Steinway, recorded by a passing staffer, cost her her job, her reputation shredded. Diane's outburst at Lily's lesson, overheard by a donor, led to her suspension, her silk scarf no defense against public outrage. Tara's live stream, meant to bury Lena, backfired spectacularly, her comment section turning against her, sponsors pulling out as #CancelTara trended. Elias Ford's Mop Rat video became his undoing. Shared by a whistleblower, it racked up millions of views, but now with comments like "disgusting bully" and "cancel him." His label dropped him, citing brand misalignment, and his father's production company distanced itself, leaving him without a safety net. At a press conference, Elias stammered, "It was just a joke." But the crowd booed, a reporter shouting, "How's it feel to be the punchline now?" His social media accounts were suspended, his followers plummeting from 50,000 to a few hundred. Aura expelled him, his music dream shattered. As Lena's Heart Music Academy opened its doors, a news segment juxtaposed her teaching kids with Elias's tearful apology video, which flopped with 12 likes. The world cheered as Lena's star rose while Elias faded into obscurity, his cruel, to his own ruin. Tara's career as a reporter tanked, her name synonymous with cruelty. The gala's donors, shamed by their silence, pledged millions to arts programs in Lena's name, but she redirected the funds to a new vision. Lena founded the Heart Music Academy, a free school for underprivileged kids where talent mattered more than designer labels. Aura's board, desperate to salvage their reputation, issued a public apology. But it was too late. Donors withdrew $100 million in pledges, and the school's ranking plummeted. Evelyn Pierce was fired, her name blacklisted in the arts world, her velvet gown a relic of her arrogance. At the Heart Music Academy's opening, Lena stood in a simple dress, cutting the ribbon as cameras flashed. Kids from Chicago's poorest neighborhoods poured in, their eyes wide at the free pianos and Lena's warm smile. A viral video showed her teaching a boy with shaky hands, her voice gentle. "You're already music." The clip hit 30 million views, comments like, "Lena's changing lives," flooding in. Aura's gala became a footnote, while Lena's academy became a global symbol of art for all. The world celebrated her, not just for her talent, but for her heart. She taught there herself, her hands guiding young fingers on the keys, her hazel eyes warm with purpose. Her mother, now in a state-of-the-art care facility funded by Lena's trust, watched her daughter's performances on a tablet, tears in her eyes. Lena's wealth, once hidden, now built futures. But she never changed. Still in simple dresses, still humble, still strong. The gala's aftermath was a global firestorm. Lena's performance hit 20 million views in days, orchestras and labels begging for her. Carnegie Hall, the Paris Philharmonic, a residency in Tokyo. As Lena's performance clip spread, the internet exploded, her Rhapsody hitting 25 million views in 48 hours. Music legends took notice. Lang Lang tweeted, "Lena, heart is a force," while Yo-Yo Ma called her a hidden gem. Carnegie Hall offered a solo recital, the Berlin Philharmonic begged for a guest spot, and Sony Music sent a contract with a 7-figure advance. Backstage, as Lena packed her crossbody bag, a young fan, a girl in a simple dress, slipped past security to hand her a drawing of a piano with "Thank you, Miss Lena," scrawled in crayon. Lena knelt, her hazel eyes warm, and hugged her, whispering, "Keep playing." The moment was caught on camera, going viral as #Steinway Queen trended. Reporters swarmed, but Lena slipped away with Daniel, her quiet smile a beacon of triumph. The world saw her not as a janitor, but as a genius who'd reclaimed her stage. Her linen dress became an icon, her story trending as the Steinway Queen. Aura's reputation crumbled, its board scrambling to save face, but the world had moved on, captivated by the woman who'd turned mockery into music. Daniel and Lena left the gala hand in hand, her flats clicking on marble, his suit a shadow beside her. The crowd parted, their earlier scorn replaced by awe. Evelyn collapsed into a chair, her gown crumpled, muttering, "We're finished." Elias's phone dropped, his future gone. The SUVs waited outside, engines purring. Lena and Daniel stepped into the lead vehicle, doors closing with a soft thud. The convoy pulled away, leaving Aura in chaos. Lena didn't watch the fallout. She was in their quiet lakeside home, her dress swapped for a sweater, teaching a young student on a modest, upright piano. Daniel set the table, their laughter soft, their bond unbreakable. She'd walked into judgment and walked out stronger. Not because she'd fought, but because she'd played. The world would remember that night, not for the scandal or wealth, but for the woman who'd faced a crowd and shown them what genius sounds like. Lena Hart didn't need their applause. She was the me, Lodi. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring content.